The big part of living with adaptable consciousness condition is a disconnect within the memory systems. The present tense me does not have a natural point of reference of existing in relation to the self that has been. So I have to manually connect present moment me with the past moments of me, who I was a year ago, who I was 5 years ago, who I was 10 years ago, who I was 20 years ago, in order for there to be any kind of sense of self that feels accurate, if you will. The sense of self is not naturally, innately accessible. And my theory is that it's because of the division of memory systems and because of the disconnect within the neural networks that contain various aspects of past and present memories. And present memories meaning like, what's happening now, where I live, like the basic information of my present experience from very recent memories, and past memories being my whole lifetime of memories. So the disconnect of memory systems affecting, my theory is that that's what's affecting the sense of self and causing it to be not naturally accessible. And then either on top of that or within that or beside it, I don't know, there's a disconnect between internal and external realities. And so anytime I can connect my internal reality with who I am externally, and anytime I can connect my external sense of reality with my internal reality, there's just like total clarity, total peace. The anxiety's gone, the depression's gone, everything. But it's this very manual process that takes my full focused attention. Full focused attention. I can't fully do that and be doing anything else. And so a disconnect between internal and external realities that causes constant anxiety and fairly consistent depression and a variety of other battles. My internal and external realities are not naturally connected. And so one of the things that happens that that allows for some level of self-soothing is to be mindfully present with my internal reality while being mindfully present with my external reality. They're not connected, but they're hanging out in presence at the same time. Like they're not connected with one another, but they're both connected to the sense of present moment experience, just separately. And so an example is I'm sitting here and I'm creating a design for a t-shirt for my super awesome online store, which I love, and it's so fun, and I'm so grateful for it. I love the merchandise. I love wearing our merchandise. I love selling our merchandise. So I'm here creating this thing, and the backdrop of my mind is just feeling anxiety and depression, and I want to lay down, and I want to give up, and I don't want to be here, and this is scary. And so to self-soothe that, external me is focused on this task at hand, and internal me is repeating mantras or singing. And so there's a song that we used to create a body memory one time. And so it's playing like a radio in my head in a completely separate realm of conscious from my present moment experience out here. And it soothes the anxiety that is caused from the disconnect between internal and external realities a little bit. And so my theory is that there's this spectrum of inner persons within multi-consciousness, and on one end of the spectrum is the present day normal life self, and on the other end of the spectrum is the child parts or inner child, and then in between are all different kinds of protector states of consciousness that allow for functionality and cope with the various amnesic barriers. And so there's this spectrum of inner persons within multi-consciousness. It goes from the normal life self to the child part, and then going from this way to this way, there's the external protectors, parts of consciousness, or inner persons within multi-consciousness who are very externally oriented. They can do physical tasks, they can socially engage, etc. And they don't really have intimate connection with any of the traumatic stress that's lodged in the body-brain system. And then moving along the spectrum, there are inner persons who are inner and outer protectors, where they're very functional, they can engage socially, they can do a certain level of physical tasks, etc., but they do carry some form of traumatic response. And then there are the inner protectors who carry the trauma and hold those memories, and they don't really have access to memories beyond that. And that's where some of the more, parts who may experience disability come in, or parts who experience themselves as persecutors come in, or parts that are just completely traumatic response, and that's the entirety of their being for the most part. And it's a spectrum, right? So it's not necessarily just one thing, but it's somewhere along the spectrum that an inner person will experience themselves in, relation to this topic anyway. And then the far end are the child parts. And so healing is about connecting the present day normal life self with the child part, who carries age regression, who carries the core unconscious memories in the system, who carries the core of the disrupted attachment development, etc. And that requires the normal part connecting with all these different protector parts, and the protector parts giving space for the child part to come more from the inner world to the outer world. And each inner person carries their own unique memory system access. And so that's a process of connecting the memory systems so that the normal present day life self person within multi-consciousness can have neurophysiological access to the child parts or inner child. But that whole process, in that whole process, there's this disconnect between inner and outer worlds. And my theory is that the inner world is corely connected with the inner child, and the outer world is primarily connected with the normal life self. And I don't know what it would take to merge the inner and outer worlds. They can have some level of presence with each other, but I don't know what it would take to get to a place where they're actually integrated. Because we've done the integration stuff. I'm sure there's always more, and it's a journey and stuff, but we've processed the trauma. We've connected present day memories with childhood memories. We've connected all the different years. We've connected all the different protector parts with different aspects of the normal life self, present day, present tense person. We've connected emotional heart space outreach so that the child parts can be present and have space to be themselves and have space to heal and grow and whatnot. And so I'm curious what it would take to connect the inner and outer worlds, because it is the core of the anxiety, and I think it could be the core of the dissociation altogether. A lot of the dissociation is from traumatic response and stuff, but once that's healed, there's still this disconnect between inner and outer worlds. And so I think my theory is that the core of the dissociation and the core of the anxiety and the core of the depression come from a disconnect between inner and outer worlds. And it seems like it would be related to memory systems, but I don't know. So just some case study notes. And so during that, I can be out here in my outer world, but my inner world's having a totally separate experience, a completely separate experience of consciousness. I'm out here relaxing, enjoying the beauty, feeling safe, and my inner world is having a completely separate experience. And it might be age regression, it might be terror, it might be fear, it might be loneliness. And there's all these sensations within the internal world. And using melodies and imageries really helps. So my theory, one of the theories, is that the internal world is the right brain hemisphere and the external world is the left brain hemisphere. And a disconnect between communicative connectivity of consciousness is where the disconnect of inner and outer worlds stems from. And so I don't know if that's related with memory systems or if it's just general brain region connectivity and the particulars of neural networks. Or are they the same thing? Do memories develop the style of neural networks and there's no separation? It's both. It's the memory systems and the neural networks, because the memory systems create the shape and style of the neural networks, if you will. And then are we talking memories that are just like autobiographical? Are we talking all types of memories? Are we talking memory stored in a part of the brain, or memory stored everywhere in all the ganglia in the brain and the body? You know, so these are just some like general observations and theories that I would love to dive into more specifically with neuroscientists who could help fill in some of the gaps of what I don't know. Because I know a lot, I've learned a lot, but it's still only been, 2-3 years of research on my own. And I would just love the opportunity to collaborate with neuroscientists who have, dedicated a lot more time and energy to learning this stuff, and combine their knowledge with my observations and explore these theories. I believe it could really benefit humankind to explore the memory systems, to explore some of the stuff, to explore the particulars of healing traumas and this, that, the other thing, healing amnesia, whatnot. It's a beautiful day, and not all of me gets to experience it, and I want to know why and how I can help it. Because all of me deserves to experience this beauty. All of me deserves to be fully present. All of me deserves to be out here having this miraculous present moment experience of physicality through our consciousness. But that's not the case. And I want to know why and how to help heal that.